to all my wonderful crocheters. Today we are going to be making a basic beanie, which is perfect for not only beginners but anyone who does not want to indulge in a very complicated project. It's super easy. It uses double crochet as well as front post double crochet, both very easy techniques. So without further ado, we're going to start off with our materials, of course. I'm using at least 300 yards of yarn as well as a size 6mm hook, but you can use any size hook you want. Let's move on to our Slipknot, where we are simply going to wrap our yarn around 2 fingers like so to create a loop, and then we're going to pull through and tighten. Next, we're going to chain 50. I am personally chaining 50, but you want to chain the size of your head, so it may be more and it may be less. So to chain, all you're going to do is yarn over and pull through. After you've chained a long enough chain so that it wraps around your entire head, what we're going to do is join both sides of our chain. So I'm going to follow through with my fingers just to make sure that my round is not twisted, and then I'm going to find my first chain, my very first chain, how cute, and I'm just going to insert my hook, then I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to complete a slip stitch. And now that we have a solid foundation, we can move on to row 1, where first and foremost I am going to chain 1. It's a little blurry here, I apologize. Next, we are going to double crochet into the second stitch from the hook and every stitch across. So what does this mean? I'm going to find the second stitch or chain, whatever you want to call it. So as you can see, there's 1 and then 2 where my left thumb is. So that's the stitch that I'm going to be working into. What I'm going to do is a double crochet. So I'm going to yarn over, find that second stitch from my hook, and I'm going to insert my hook and pull through so that I have 3 loops on my hook. Once I have 3 loops on my hook, I'm going to yarn over once again and pull through 2 loops, and then I'm going to yarn over one more time through the next 2 loops. And you have completed your first double crochet. Now I'm going to double crochet for the entire round. So once again, I'm yarning over, inserting my hook, pulling through so that I have 3 loops on my hook, yarning over, pulling through 2, yarning over again, and pulling through another 2. I am now approaching the end of my row, where I'm going to complete my last double crochet for that row. And once I've finished my last double crochet, I'm going to look at both stitches to my left. As you can see, we have our chain 1, and then we have the stitch for our first double crochet. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to slip stitch into my first double crochet. So I'm not slip stitching into that chain 1, I'm slip stitching where my left thumb is. So I'm skipping that chain 1 right there, finding my first double crochet, and slip stitching into that stitch. And now you have completed your first row of double crochets. Moving on to row 2, where, like row 1, we are going to chain 1. Mind you, we will chain 1 at the beginning of each row. So, I've chained 1. And I want you guys to pay very close attention here, because each double crochet that we have is going to count as a post. Now you see that chain 1? Everywhere where I'm chaining 1, that does not count as a post. So our first front post double crochet will be worked into our first double crochet, which is right there, not our chain 1. We're just going to ignore that chain 1. So, in order to front post crochet, we first have to locate our double crochets. Yay! And what we're going to do is, with our hook, we're actually just going to go under our double crochet, which is considered a post, so that our double crochet is in front of our hook. And then we're just going to proceed with our stitch. But since we're doing a double crochet, we have to make sure that we first yarn over before we proceed with the front post. So once again, your double crochet should be in front of your hook while you are completing the stitch. So for this row, what we're going to do is front post double crochet in the second stitch from the hook and every stitch across. So what I'm going to do is yarn over, locate my first double crochet, not my chain 1. You see those chain 1s next to my right thumb? That's not where we're completing our first double crochet. So I yarn over, went under my first double crochet to pull through so that I have 3 loops on my hook, like a normal double crochet. Then I'm going to yarn over, pull through 2, and then complete it as I would a regular double crochet by completing and pulling through another 2. I'm going to locate my next double crochet where I'm going to yarn over, go under that post, pull through so that I have 3 on my hook, pull through 2, and pull through another 2. Once again, yarn over, go under my double crochet from the previous row, pull through 2, and pull through another 2. And we will be doing this for the entire row. once we reach the end of the row, it is super important that we recognize where our last double crochet is and when our chain one space or chain ones are. So basically, we are going to be completing our last front post double crochet in our last double crochet, not in our chain one space, which is right there where I just pointed. So this is where we are going to be completing our last front double crochet. If you do complete a front post double crochet into the chain one, you are going to find that your hat is going to start expanding because you are adding on stitches. So since I'm finished with my row, what I'm going to do is locate my first double crochet from that row, being sure to skip that chain one, which is right there near my right thumb, and I'm going to insert my hook and slip stitch just like we did in the first row. And that completes row 2. It only gets easier from here, guys. We're going to move on to row 3, where, like at the beginning of every single row, I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to front post double crochet into the second stitch from the hook and every stitch across. So like before, I'm going to locate my double crochets from the previous row, and all I'm going to do is find that post, yarn over, insert my hook underneath the post, pull through 2, and pull through 2. So the same exact thing that we did in row 2. Once again, I've reached my last double crochet. I'm not going to front post double crochet in my chain ones, just in this last double crochet. So through 2 and through 2, and next I'm just going to locate my first double crochet of that row, where I will be completing a slip stitch to finish off the third row. So I'm skipping that chain 1 that I started off with, and I'm moving directly to that first double crochet. And that completes row 3, and guys, I'm actually gonna leave you on your own for now. I don't even know why I sing because I'm not good at it. But anyways, I did 20 rows, but keep in mind, the more rows, the more slouch. So at the beginning of each row, you are going to chain 1. I repeat, at the beginning of each row, you chain 1. And next you're going to front post double crochet in the second stitch from the hook and every stitch across. So we're basically repeating row 3 over and over and over and over again. Keep in mind that you are not completing front post double crochets in your chain 1 because they are easily mistakable as double crochets, and that's why you have to pay very close attention to where you are crocheting. Otherwise, as I mentioned before, the more rows that you complete equals the more slouch you'll have in your hat. I did 20 rows, but the amount of rows that you do all depend on how heavy your yarn is, how thick your yarn is, and honestly how big your hook is. About 2 hours later, I am on my last row, which is row 20, and I am just doing the same exact thing that I've been doing for the entire piece. And it may get monotonous, but you know, it's all for the love of crochet, guys. So deep. Just kidding, but you just want to pay close attention. It may seem like you're doing the same thing over and over again, which you are, but it's so easy to make a mistake when you lose attention or if you're not paying close attention. And we want this hat to come out as perfect as possible because we are all just perfect people in our own way. So I want our hats to complement that. My very last front post double crochet, and I just want us to take a second to kind of observe that I have not front post double crocheted in any of my chain 1 spaces, and as you can see, they kind of blend into the hat. Not kind of, they do blend into the hat, and that's the best part. So what I'm going to do next is just slip stitch into my first double crochet of the row, and then to finish off my hat, I'm going to chain 1 and pull a long piece of yarn, not that long, maybe about 20 inches, because this is what we're going to use to actually weave through our hat and to create that scrunch. Unless you want your hat to be open-ended, then I guess that's fine too. So we're gonna grab our scissors and we're gonna cut. Yeah, just cut. Oh, that sounded bad. And then we're just gonna pull through and tighten to make sure that our piece is secure, and that completes the actual crocheting part of our hat. We're gonna move on to weaving. Girl, just got my weave did. And why did I say that? Oh my goodness. We're gonna turn our hat inside out. And we're gonna grab a needle of some sort. Now you can do this part with your hands, but I prefer needle, it's just so much easier. You're gonna attach your yarn to your needle. And we're going to make like a second grade art and weave through our hat, Did you guys ever have to do that in 2nd grade? I remember I made like this weaving piece that was just like so elaborate. It was the best thing I've ever made. But aside from this hat, of course, you guys know. This hat is obviously the best thing I've ever made. Wow, that sounds really bad. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm gonna be quiet now. Woo! We're gonna weave through our hat, and this is what makes the scrunch. Now, you want to make sure that you weave close together. I'm skipping like every 2 double crochets, but if you weave too far apart, you're gonna find that your scrunch won't be as pretty as you want it to be, and it'll have holes in it. Even though this piece already has holes all over the place, but it'll have holes in it, and it won't look right, trust me. So take your time with weaving. I know it's like the last step, but it's still super important. When we're done weaving, what we're going to do is just pull so that our hat is nice and scrunched and that the top is nice and together. And what I do next is, I don't really know how to explain it, but I just try to secure the piece as much as I can. So I kind of just go through in the hat, just like that. And I tie knots. And it's so fun. Just the best thing I've ever done in my entire life, tying knots. Oh yeah. But I just tie knots just to make sure that my hat doesn't fall apart while I'm walking on the street. Or even worse, when I give it to someone and it falls apart. Does not look good. So you want to make sure that it's as secure as possible. And after you're done, you just want to kind of tuck in any loose pieces. That is the yarn or string or piece or whatever that I started with. But point is, I do not want that to show, because that's a bit ratchet. Just saying. And I'm going to turn my hat right side out. And oh my goodness, it's ready to wear. How exciting! Congratulations on making your basic beanie. Hopefully it's super slouchy, super cute, super fun. Look at that slouch. Bye guys, thank you so much for watching, and subscribe! Please, please, please subscribe for more videos.